All right, everyone. So welcome to this session where I share a few tips with all of us, right? So one of the things that I've seen is regards to the CVs, right? When you are looking for graduate admissions in terms of, in this case, I'm talking about looking for funding, right? Typically, admissions sometimes are different from looking for funding. And so this part of the video, I'm talking about funding in terms of, some of these options and all of that, right? Now, you can watch some of my previous videos on how this whole thing works in North America here in terms of, Canada and the US and all that, right? And then how grad school here, it's more research-based than course-based, okay? So in Canada and the US, if you are talking about grad school in terms of masters or PhD, majority of them is more research based. Yes, we do have the programs where you take purely courses and then you do a project at the end of the course. Yeah, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the research intensive projects, right? And then typically for the STEM programs, biology, physics, chemistry, engineering, all these kind of things, right? They all have a research intensive master's and PhD, okay? So the previous videos, we talk about them. You can watch them if you haven't done so. Now, one of the main things that I've always talked about is that there are two main things, okay? Both in the US and Canada. Majority of the programs in terms of, social sciences, economics. Now, business is not part. I'm not sure how things work in the School of Business because I don't know of any funding program that goes on. Maybe some schools have them, but I'm not aware of any of these things, okay? So what I'm talking of, it's in terms of, social sciences, political sciences, all these kind of programs, engineering and all that. So there are two main categories. One is where you look for a supervisor, you contact them, they interview you, they like your CV and your transcript, and so they give you the go-ahead to apply for admissions to the school, and then you get funding because you already have a prof who has agreed to supervise your master's and your PhD work. That's one category, okay? So category one is more of profs are in charge of funding, okay? All right. And then we have the second one where the schools or the universities, okay? All right. So I'll give you an example. For economics, I know that's how it works. For some sciences, for political science, for, the arts, I think what happens is that everybody submits all the admission requirements to the department, and then the department kind of rank all the applicants, and then maybe they select the top 30%, 40%, and give them funding for the program. That's one scenario, all right? The second scenario is you would have to contact a prof and have a prof who has already interviewed you and approved your application before you even submit an application for admission, all right? So these are two scenarios. You should find out what really pertains to your field, right? So you should check from the department, especially with the schools you're applying to. Are they requesting for you to have a prof before you apply, or they are asking everybody to submit the application and then they rank them? If you're not so sure, send an email to the department and they will be more than happy to respond to it, all right? So that's the first thing you have to find out. Do I need a prof before you apply? Or do you need to submit the application and then they will rank them, okay? Those are the two scenarios. Now, all of them are very competitive. All right. So typically, I tell people if you have a first class or a strong second class upper, you have a chance of doing this. If you have a lower, the chances are slim. I'm not sure how things will work for some schools, but hey, everything is possible, right? So the main thing is that if you are sure of the whether you are supposed to apply and they will rank the applicant, or whether you're supposed to contact profs, then you begin with this whole thing. But one thing that you should really know is that this whole grad thing starts with some things like your CV, for example. All right. Remember, your transcript are already logged in. You cannot change your transcript. All right. And everybody who is applying also has either a first class or a strong second class upper. So you are not so different from any of the applicants. The only thing that might set you apart is if you took some specific courses that are of interest to specific research areas, or you do have some unique skill set that will set you apart from the rest of the applicants. Else, everybody is the same, right? So the only thing that can set you apart is the CV, all right? And when I say CV here, I mean research CV, okay? Research CV, all right? And I find that majority of the CVs that I'm reviewing are really not research CV. They are what we call general CVs. That's what I call them. I call them general CVs, okay? The reason why I call them general CVs is because when I look at the kind of skill set that they are reporting on their CV, anybody in that field or anybody in another field can also have the same skill set, okay? Right? And these are things that I want people to avoid. If you, let's say you did your undergrad and you did stuff in, let's say, political science, for example, all right? Or you did mechanical engineering. When I pick your CV, remember, it has to reflect your field, okay? If the CV is not reflecting your field, one, you are in trouble, because whatever CV you have cannot be a general CV. So you think about it. When you submit your CV to somebody who is not from your field, would they be so comfortable in knowing every single thing on the CV? Of course, there are some things that are more general. So with those ones, I'm not expecting any big thing to happen, but there are some specific things related to your field that should actually reflect on the CV, okay? Most of my stuff is on material science in terms of advanced manufacturing. We talk about, material characterization and all of that. When I give you my CV, if you are not from my field, I don't think you should be able to get about 50% of the things in my field. Now, the reason I'm saying all of this is that if you did mechanical engineering and you are going to apply to a prof in the mechanical engineering department, or you are going to apply to the mechanical engineering department for admission, you should know that your CV should reflect the field. If it doesn't reflect your field, then there's a problem, okay? How will I make my CV reflect my field? I'm talking about some of the technical things in the field, all right? I should be seeing some of those technical things that only people who are from the field can understand. Because when you submit your admission for application to, let's say, application for admission to a department, mechanical engineering department, what will happen is that the people who are going to review your application are from the mechanical engineering department. And they would like to see some of these things reflected on the CV. And so if they are not seeing them, then it means that you have something that is missing on the CV. Remember, you're already the same with the transcript, or almost the same. And so you can only set yourself apart with the CV. And so I always tell people that look at the CV and check whether the technical words in your field are actually reflected on the CV. I'm talking of, if you tell me that you're a very diligent and hardworking student. Of course, everybody's diligent and hardworking. So what do you mean by that, right? You can't tell me that you are the only, it's good. Everybody who is applying also is diligent and hardworking. So you want to get things done the right way, okay? And that is something that I always tell people, one. And two, for research CVs, all that we want you to really demonstrate include things in a research field. Somebody says, oh, I did my undergrad, I don't have any research field, and I'm like, no, you do, because you did projects in your undergrad, you did some capstone, or what we call the final year project, you did some internships and all of that. These are all related to the stuff that is being done in grad school, all right? Just that you're just going to take it a notch higher, right? So one of the main things that you should be looking at is, does my CV speak to the field? That is one. Okay. Two, that is for the universities who are in charge of the funding, all right? So in that case, I'm trying to make sure that my CV reflects the field. That's one. Now, for those who are applying to profs for funding, especially those in engineering, biology, chemistry, physics, all these people, mathematics, you would have to find a prof sometime. Majority of the schools in Canada and the US, they will ask you to have contacted a prof in the field before you apply, okay? And so one thing that you should be thinking of is, how will I be able to capture the field in terms of how will I be able to get a prof that can actually that I can tailor my CV to that specific prof's research interest. All right. So I am in mechanical engineering, but my research is in material science. And most of the Canadian and US schools is like that. Typically they don't have mechanical engineering. They have mechanical engineering, but under mechanical engineering, we have biomedical, we have biomechanics, we have materials, we have thermofluids, we have energy and all of that. All right. So assuming you are interested in energy research, then I'm expecting that you tailor the CV to suit that particular field or that particular area that you are looking at. If you don't do that, then you are not a good match for that prof. And I'll say, don't even send in your CV. I don't show something in my email, but somebody, like I get a lot of these emails from people all around the world, right? They're like, oh, I'm interested in thermofluids and heat transfer. And I'm like, have you seen my research? Have you seen anything thermofluids in my research? It's like you are just sending, you're on autopilot, sending emails to everybody. It doesn't work, all right? You would have to find the prof who has a research field that you are interested in, tailor the CV to kind of reflect that field, then you become a good match for that prof. If you can't do that, please stop applying, because it's just going to be considered as one of those CVs. It's they're not a good match for the job. Think of you going to apply for a job in, let's say, a manufacturing field, or let's say pharmaceutical field. If we pick your CV and it's a general CV, and we pick another person's CV that is tailored to, let's say, pharmaceutical field, then that person is sure of getting some interview. If not, then you are wasting everybody's time, right? So these are things that you really have to spend time in doing that. Nobody can do that for you. Look, if you cannot sit down and prepare a good CV, it means that you are really not ready for grad school. I don't think you should be going, all right? Because in grad school, you're going to be doing research. You're going to be writing about different topics and all that, writing journals, attending conferences and all that. And if you cannot sit down and prepare a CV, then I don't think you should do it. Somebody says, oh, I don't have enough time. Well, that's another problem to deal with, okay? So typically, what is happening in the CV is that you are showing your educational background. Now, this teaching background, I don't like it because nobody's asking you to teach. So most of the CVs that I review, I see a lot of teaching. I taught this course, I taught that course. I'm like, okay, fine. It's good you taught those courses, but they should be down there in the CV, not way up there. Because what I'm looking for as a potential supervisor is your research or your project experience. I want to know, is this person kind of qualified in my field to do this kind of research? Do they have the basic knowledge to be able to do the research? Or it's a matter of, they did something in materials and so they are okay. You know what I mean? So I'm looking for the research field. That's what should really, really start this whole thing, all right? So typically, I talk about the fact that people should have a personal information. I'll be showing you some of them, where your name, your phone number, your email. If you are in a university as a teaching assistant, or you're already doing something in a university, you want the university's details to be there, all right? That's a nice thing. Then you go to your summary of qualifications, okay? So now these things here are not, when I talk about personal information, I have what? Let's go back to this slide. Okay, so I have what? My personal information, okay? Then I have what we call the summary of qualification, summary of qualification, all right? So if I go to your summary of qualification, what that means is that it should be something that reflects your skill set in terms of your entire skill set that you built up, okay? The entire skill set that you built up. Let me see if I can show you one of these things here quickly, and then we can continue. But again, what I want to know is that if you cannot find something that will reflect your skill set, so I'll give you an example here. So the personal information part is what you are seeing at the top, all right? This is for somebody, so I don't want to show their details. So personal information is all that you are seeing over here. where they talk about, sorry about that, where they talk about their name, if they have a master's, they have the PhD, whatever, their address. Now, in this case, this address, if you're already at a university, you should be putting the university's address there in terms of, let's say you just finished your undergrad, you are a TA at KNUST or a University of Ghana. You should write University of Ghana, Mechanical Engineering Department, blah, 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 Accra, Ghana. Then you can bring your phone number and your email. Why? Because if you really have an address that is more of a university, it's good. It's a good reflection on you, right? That you are still in the field, you are still in academia. People want that, okay? But again, this thing also works. But typically, if you are in a university, you want those things to be captured here. So for all those who are TAs, who are teaching assistants, for all those who are doing their masters on campuses and all that, you should be reflecting those things here in the personal information. Then you go to summary of qualification. Remember, I said summary of qualification is what can actually sell you out here in terms of over the years, what skill set have you built up? Don't come and talk about I'm a diligent, hardworking person. We all know you are, okay? And everybody is. So stop those things and talk about things that reflect your field, things that you built up in your field, all right? So in this case, this person is saying, I have experience in the use of quantitative and qualitative research methods and statistical techniques such as regression and chi-square in gathering and analyzing useful data for research, decision, and policy making. That's nice. Somebody will say, oh, this is too long. Hey, this is academia. If you are going to apply for industry, I'll say, okay, maybe you shouldn't be talking about all of these things, right? But if you are going for a research position, the prof is not going to hire you because you are a first class student. No, I want you to come and do the research in my lab. All right, I want you to come and work with us and do the research. And so I'm looking for people who can use all those buzzwords in my field that can actually set them apart from other people. All right. So experience it's not everybody who even knows how to use regression analysis or do anything like a software for statistical analysis, right? Or even if they know, maybe it's not on their CV. Okay. We got the second one. Exceptional experience in outreach programs and screening exercises, including statistical reporting and documentation using SPS and Microsoft applications. Experience in common preoperative and postoperative diagnosis testing, such as A-scan, biometry, and keratometry. Look at the way they are bringing the terms in their field. So if you are not from their field, you're going to be a little bit confused when you get this CV. All right. Extensive experience in performing advanced ophthalmic procedures, including visual acuity testing, ability to perform manifest refractions, diagnostic testing, OCT, fundus photography, fluorescence, angiography, visual field testing, and tonometry. Look at the way they are bringing the things in their field. Now, what this means is that when I pick this person's CV, all right, when I pick this person's CV, I'm going to be getting all these as part of the skill set that defines the person. That's the summary of qualifications, all right? It's the summary of qualifications, all right? Comprehensive experience in assessing the refractive status of the eye using phoropter, retinoscope, in addition to fitting simple and toric contact lenses. That's kind of things you have there, all right? Please, nobody should copy this because I'll get you, because I know the person, all right? So these are things that you should be thinking about. Is my summary of qualifications reflecting my field or not? If it is not, then you are in trouble because you are just coming up what we call a general CV. A general CV is a general CV. It's like, everybody can write that. If you finish at the university, you can write you have experience in research methods, right? And then experience in prescribing, administration, or eye drops for diagnosis purposes and treatment. Look at the technical things that they are using in the field. So and remember, you are sending the CV to people who are in your field, so they know these things. All right. And they are going to be picking these information that you are putting out there on the CV as a summary of the person that they're going to be dealing with. So assuming I'm a prof who is doing research in A-scan biometry, or I'm doing research in, let's say, contact lenses, or, all these kind of things, then I think this person has some form of skill set. I'll be interested in interviewing this person to see whether they really have the stuff that they have on their CV. You know what I mean? So summary of qualifications is very important. You should be talking about things that are related to your field. I see some people, they write under skill set somewhere in the CV, they call computer skill set. They say Python, programming in Abacus, ANSYS. And I'm like, oh no, you really right now I have two undergrads who are doing Python programming in terms of developing advanced machine learning algorithms, all right, for metal 3D printing. And you know how to code in Python, and it's somewhere down there on your CV, right? You're underselling yourself. Okay. So if you don't spend time in creating a good CV that will reflect the field, you'll be submitting your applications to a lot of profs and schools and nothing will happen, because when they look at your CV, it's just a general CV. Somebody has a better one and you're going to go in for that person. All right. Okay. So always think about what your summary of qualifications, and then let it reflect in your field. Now, assuming you came up with what? All of these things. Then under the research experience, we'll be talking about it, or under your project experiences, that's where you should be demonstrating where you learned how to use what? A-scan biometry or keratometry, or where you learned how to use SPSS and Microsoft applications. All right. We'll talk about that in the stuff. So you have your personal details, you have your summary of qualifications, and then you can talk about some professional certifications. Now, I'm talking about relevant personal professional certifications. Okay. Don't come and tell me you learned how to use PowerPoint and you got certification for it. Everybody can use PowerPoint. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to shoot anybody's stuff down, but relevant, please, relevant. If what you are saying is not relevant to the field, then I'll say no. Okay. So in this case, professional certifications, the person listed some of them, and then they talked about the education. Remember, see education, look at the title of their thesis. For undergrad, that's what we call the capstone, all right? And then they also talked about what, they also talked about their supervisor. I don't recommend this because nobody is interested in your high school. We just want to see your education in terms of, if you have a master's, you write your master's, the title of the thesis, then it's supervisor as well. Okay. Now, instead of writing professional experience, in this case, I will ask you to write research and project experience. Why? You want the prof to know, or the department to know, that you've already built up some research and project experiences. Okay. Already built up some of them. All right. And so in this case, this person's CV, I'll be asking them to switch things around, because I see that they bring a lot of their research experiences down here, whilst it's supposed to be up there. Okay. Now, if you have a published paper, I think your published paper should be shown. You should bring it up there. The published paper should be way up there. Okay. The published paper should be way up there. So essentially, what I want to see is that I want to see your personal statement, or personal information, or personal statement, and then summary of qualifications. All right. And then you talk about your education. Okay. So from education, you talk about, if you have journal publications, please bring the journal publications first, or, conference and journal publications. I'm talking about good ones, right? Then you can talk about research and project experiences. So research and project experiences is where you demonstrate your research skills. Somebody says, oh, I don't have any research skills. I'm like, okay, fine. What did you do in your capstone, your final year project? What did you do? Somebody said, oh, we didn't do anything. Please, you did something. Maybe you didn't take part in it. All right. But the capstone project is actually one of the things that you can use to reflect your skill set in terms of research. All right. That's one. Beside the capstone, you did internships. All right. So you did internships. So for your internships, what did you do? Or what we call, is it outreach? They call attachment, right? Internships, attachments, all the things that you did during your long vacations, you can actually use them to demonstrate your research and project experience. All right. Now, remember, somebody says, oh, when I went for my attachment, I was only checking emails and then doing administrative work. I didn't do anything related to the field. But if you really sit down very well and you assess your performance when you did your attachment, you realize that there were things that you did that was really related to your field. Those are the skill set that should be coming up over here. Okay. So your attachment, what did you do? Your capstone or your final year project, what did you do? Somebody says, oh, I did this and did. No, that's not what I want. Okay. That's not what I'm asking for. That's not what I'm asking for. All right. So main thing is that if you have your personal information, your summary of qualifications, your education, including the title of your thesis or your capstone, the supervisors and all that. Then you come to your, how do you call it? So from education, publications. If you have some publications, that would be great. You should list them. Why? Because in grad school, nobody just wants to see your A+. I want to see your publication. I bring you in, you do the research, we all publish together. The publication goes a long way to help me in as much as your graduation also goes a long way to help me. So I want to see somebody who can publish. So if you are lucky, you've been able to publish, not lucky. If you're hardworking and you've been able to publish, I think you should bring that way up there so that the prof knows that, oh, this person or the committee knows this person is really good, you know, in the field, right? I have some undergraduate students who have published like 3 journal papers in the undergrad. And so it becomes awesome. You just bring them up there. And then you can list your research and project experiences. So the kind of project you've done and all of that. Now, if you have some work experience, then after that, I think you should bring that up. You know, that's where you can bring your teaching assistantship and all that, okay? And then you can talk about, you know, a few other things. But typically, I want to see your research and project experience, your publications, your education, your summary of qualifications. And I'm more interested in the research and project experiences because that's the only thing that will set you apart from all the other applicants, right? If you're unable to do that, then that becomes something that is a little bit worrying, right? Now, you can talk about, you know, services and leadership and then what some societies that you belong to, and then some references. No hobbies and all of that. You know, nobody's really interested in your hobbies. Please forgive me. Sometimes I can be very rough. I think it's old age. All right. So again, if I'm supposed to order them, I'll talk about, let's go this. I'm just trying to clean this thing up. If I'm supposed to order them, then what I'll do is that I'll say the first one should be summary of, not summary of qualifications. First one should be personal information, okay? Personal information. So your name, you know, your name. If you're already in the university, you can put the university. Nobody's going to post anything to you though on the CV, all right? So, and then your email, your phone numbers and all that, right? Then remember your summary of qualifications. Your summary of qualifications should be something that reflects your field. If you don't have anything that reflects your field, then there's a problem, all right? It's a problem. So summary of qualifications should be the next one. And then the next one should be publications. If you have any, publications should be way up here. Why? Because you want the prof or the committee to know that, hey, you've been doing some research and you have been doing some scientific communications as well. All right. So publications should be way up there. Now, when you are listing your publications, there's a way you should put them. You list the names of the authors, the names, the title of the publication, the journal, and then the year. All right. If you have the DOI, you can add a DOI or a link to that. That should be great. So always name. So maybe your name, Solomon, and Duntu and Tete and Joseph, all of them. And then title was what? Adiabatic share bands in the Journal of Microscopy and Microanalysis, 2023. Then you can add the number of pages if you have it, and then the DOI. Okay. So publication should be way up there. So remember the order of the CV: personal information, summary of qualifications, publications. Then number 4 should be your research and project experiences. Okay. So project and research have some point. And again, with all this CV we are talking of, don't be worried about number of pages. All right. I'm not saying you should be writing irrelevant things on the CV. No, don't do that. But things that are relevant, if you do have the skill set, please show them. Okay. I had somebody who had about 7 pages or so, and they were worried that people were going to look down on it and say, but all the information they had there was relevant. Right. And right now, I think the person is in the US doing the PhD. So don't be, this is academic CV. Academic CV, I'm going to be stuck with you for 4 years for your PhD. And so I want somebody who really has some skill set, not that you come in and realize, oh no, I had the wrong person. I'm in trouble. You are wasting my money and my time, right? So if you have them, please put them on the CV, right? It's really a good thing. And so after the research and project experiences, so under the research and project experiences also, you want to link them. Okay, so that's number 4. That's number 4. So number 4 is what? Research and project experiences. So let's clean things up. So we have what? Number 1 is personal information. Number 2 is summary of qualifications. Number 3 is what? Publications. Number 4 is what? Research and project. Oh no, we missed one thing. All right. After summary of qualifications, you should have your education. Please have your education. All right. So I tell my students to always stay in the class for the entire class, because sometimes, of course, I'm not. So personal information. 2 is what? Summary of qualifications. 3 is what? Education, please, education. Okay. And then number 4 is what? Publications. Number 5 is research and project experiences. In this case, your capstone is one of them. Okay. And so the other one is your internships or your attachments that you did. So internships, okay? And then some projects that you worked on that are relevant to your field, okay? That kind of thing. So you list what you did. So in the capstone, what did you do? Bullet points. In the internships, maybe 7 of them. What did you do in that order, right? Once you finish the research and project experience, then you can talk about your work and professional experiences, okay? And then number 7, you can talk about what? Leadership. If you've done something that is awesome, it sets you apart in the field, right? Leadership and what? Service. If you have any, if you don't have any, that's fine. I'm not asking you to. And then number 8 will be what? Leadership. And then you can talk about references, okay? Always have references, list of references on the CV, okay? So the main thing that I look at, and I know majority of my colleagues look at, is what? Your summary of qualifications, your education, your publication, your research and project experience. These are the most important things, because you are coming to do research. Nothing else is so critical for us than that, right? We do look at other things. I'm not saying we don't look at them, but hey, these are the main things that everybody is looking at before they even think about calling you for an interview and asking you to, show them more of the stuff you've been doing, okay? So please, don't say you don't have the experience. You do. Make sure you do what? Bring them out on the CV, your project you worked on, even if in your undergrad, you did go do a project for like a day or so. That's, it's part of anything that you have done. So if it is relevant to the field, okay, then you can bring all of them. All right. Now, remember, in all of this, we said that you are looking at one scenario where you have a prof that you have to find before you apply for admission, or you have a school that accept all the applicants and then rank them and then give them funding. You should know which one you're applying to. Of all of them, you need a very good CV, like both the first and second options. You need a very good CV to be able to do anything, to get any good ranking or anything that happens, right? Now, second thing that I'll move on to is what? Those who have to look for profs. Now, I'm in engineering, so majority of our stuff are like that, both in the US and Canada. If you are sending an email to a prof, if you don't know how to send an email to a prof, watch the other videos that we have. You'll be able to get a gist of how this whole thing works. But I see that people are always waiting for positions to be advertised before they apply. Okay, I never encourage that. All right, because once the positions are advertised, we have over numerous, like a lot of people. One of our positions that we advertise, we had over 120 applicants. Nobody has time to review 120 applicants. No, I just pick the good ones, then interview them and pick the best one out. So what I'm saying is that don't sit down and wait for the position to be advertised before you apply, because it makes it far more competitive than it should be. One of the best tricks is to send emails to profs. Okay, so I'll give you an example. If I'm in mechanical engineering, all right. So my research is on material science and engineering. So typically metal additive manufacturing. So I can go to universities in Canada and the US. So let's say in Canada, I'll go to York University. All right. So York University. Now remember, material science engineering is typically under mechanical, because you have mechanical, biomechanics, energy. All these groups are one. And typically they're under the mechanical engineering department, all right? So let's say I'm from mathematics, all right? So I'm looking for machine learning in mathematics, or let's say computer science, whatever it is. So York University machine learning research. All right. I don't know how to even type the name of the school, whatever it is. So I'm just typing in it. So if you go to artificial intelligence and machine learning, you might be able to find department and people who are doing research like that in the field. All right. Always what you are looking out for are the faculty members who are in that field. So see, you can actually check the research. You can find people who are doing that type of research, and then you can contact them. All right. But typically how it works is that search your department. So I'm in material science. I'm just going to type material science. Okay, material science and engineering arts, in Canada. In Canada, for example. Okay, in Canada. That's it. Then you have University of Toronto, University of Waterloo, and all these schools. So I can just say I'll go to University of Toronto. Now, it's going to be a big search. So I just go to University of Toronto, material science faculty. What you are looking for is the faculty members. Why? Because the faculty members are the ones you need to get in touch with, all right? But typically, if you are not sure whether your department is going to rank all the applicants and then select the best one, or they are going to ask people to contact profs before they apply, just go to the department first. So if you go to the department, in that case, you will have to go to the material science department, all right? So I go to the material science department, and then I'll be able to find whatever they are doing there. So you can go to prospective students, all right? And then you look for grad school, all right? And the grad school, you can check whatever they have there. You get all the information, admission requirements. Now, always, you need to check admission requirement, that's for sure, okay? So academic requirement, Master of Engineering. Now, Master of Engineering, you don't do any research. And here you are paying. Nobody's going to pay for you to come and do a Master of Engineering stuff, okay? Because it's just course-based. Now, but Master of Applied Science, that's where you do a research. So in this case, a Bachelor of Applied Science in Engineering or Bachelor of Engineering with a minimum average of B+, second class upper, okay, over the final 2 years. Then you have a doctoral program. Then you have international exchange students. GRE scores are not required. Do not submit these scores. English language and all that. Now, if you attended school in, let's say, Ghana and I know Nigeria and other places, you don't need these things because the official language of the universities are they are English, so you don't need to submit anything else, all right? So you have your CV and all of that. And then you see, you're not quite sure whether you really need a prof before you apply, or you would have to apply and they rank you as an applicant, okay? Now, what I know is that in engineering and the sciences, majority of the STEM programs, biology, physics, chemistry, medicine, all these fields, you would have to find a prof before you apply. But some of them, mathematics, I've seen universities where in the maths department, economics, political science, social sciences, you would have to apply to the department and then they rank all the applicants, okay? So if you know that you need to find a prof, then you need to always check the faculty. So in the faculty, you are checking the professors. Professor Emeritus, in terms of those who are already retired, majority of them are not doing research. Adjunct profs, some of them are doing, some of them are not. But typically, these are the people you should be looking at, the profs. Okay, so I click on the profs, all right? And then I'll be able to find all the professors who are in that department. Everybody is doing their own unique thing, okay? So I can click on Professor Yuzu, and when I go to his field, I find all his stuff there. Our group uses novel experimental, analytical, and computational tools to explore materials with extreme properties and the extreme conditions, all right? Particularly for metal materials. Now, what is happening here is that your CV should be reflecting on these things here before you send an email to this prof. If your CV doesn't reflect something that is in this area, please don't, because then you're not going to be a good match for this prof. If you go to his lab, look at the stuff he's doing. He talks about them. Go to the research, all right? You see some of the stuff he's been working on, all right? You can see some of them, all right? And so if you do not have the skill set to be able to do some of these kind of things, then please don't apply because you're wasting everybody's time, all right? Okay? And these are things that you should have at the back of your mind before you. Now, look at the way they've listed the publication. Remember, I said in your journal papers, in your CV, if you want to list, create a list of publications, look at it. They've listed the names of the profs. They've listed the title of the paper. And then they've listed where they submitted it to in terms of the journal and then the year. This is how your list of publications should be looking like in your CV. If you're not doing that, then it's like, I've seen some of them where the format is really way out there. But again, this is how we do it in some of these fields, right? If your field is different, great. But this is what I know. All right. And then you can prepare some of these things and start sending. What I'm trying to say is that the cold emails, send to as many profs as possible. Now, but the caution here is before you send to the prof, check the prof's research interest, check your CV. If your CV does not reflect that prof's research interest, don't send it to him because you are not a good match for each other. Somebody will say, oh, but I don't know someone, I never did any of these things in my undergrad. Check the field. You did it, maybe you are just underselling yourself on your CV. And I cannot stress on this enough in terms of always send to profs, okay? This prof, if you go to his team, his email is right there, copy this email, send him your CV and your transcript and a short message. Watch how to send an email to a prof. Video is also on the YouTube channel. And then you talk to the prof that you are interested in their research, wanted to find out if they do have open positions for graduate students, okay? But before you send, make sure that your CV has been tailored to his research. If not, don't send it at all because you're just sending a general CV to every prof. Okay? And then the more you send, the higher the chances of getting. Why? You see, I showed you all the profs in the department. Okay? All these profs who are in this material science department, everybody has their own grants that they are applying to. They have specific times that they are hiring or they are not hiring. So you should be checking whether you have the requirements or not, okay? If I go to York University, okay, Lasson School of Engineering, so Lasson School of Engineering, you can find all the faculty members there, all of them, okay? Go to research, all right? Go to whatever department you want to. So you go to about, you go to people and faculty right there, right? You can see all these profs. Click on their names, you check their research field. This prof's research interest in what? Computer science education, access control models, or adjustable decentralization, information visualization, blah, 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 and all that. Oh, look at all these things are there. You already have the prof stuff. You can go to their personal website and you get to see more about the research that they are doing. Now, this prof says he is a teaching stream prof. It means that he does some research that is more education related. And so if you are looking for something that is more of like your field, then you should not be targeting people who are in teaching stream because some of them are doing research, but it's more education related research. All right. So if you see teaching stream attached to any prof's name, then you should be checking it out because it means that they are not doing a lot of the conventional research. They are doing some research that is related to what? Education and teaching. Okay. But all these profs are there. You click on their name, you get to see their research fields and then the stuff they are doing, and then you can contact them. Their emails are there. Keep on sending. If you are waiting for a position to be advertised before you apply, that's going to be a problem because you are just going to make it so competitive for yourself and you might not get what you are looking for. Okay, so those are some of the quick things that I wanted to share with us. Now, before I wrap up on these, and the CV thing, I'm taking my time because look, if they are ranking the applicants in your department, it's all based on the CV and your transcript. Your transcript are already logged in. You can't do anything about your transcript. So why don't you take the time to do something good on the CV? All right. Now, some of the applications that you do, especially those in the US, they're going to ask you for statement of purpose. All right. And there are so many resources out there. So what I have here was, I actually followed up from some of these resources here. And go check it out. This is www.gograd.org/resources undergrad. You'll be able to find some of these statements of purpose. They have good examples over there. So you should be checking it out, right? So typically, I'm not sure, some of them will ask you 1 or 2 pages. It depends on what the school is asking. You should be checking that out, all right? But the main thing here that I want you to pay attention to is what? These things, starting from especially focusing on your unique experiences, all right? Let me just get my pen, all right? So unique experiences is something that you always want to bring out. Because again, remember, everybody's applying. Everybody's from the field. They all have the same thing, all right? And so if you're not careful, you're going to be coming up with things that nobody's looking out for, all right? So in this case, you have what? Focus on unique experiences. Okay, what sets you apart from all the applicants? Okay, if you don't have something that sets you apart from all the applicants, then there's a problem. All right, and I know everybody's experiences in grad school or undergrad is what? Unique. You should be bringing those things out, things that will sell you. Make sure you include details. Somebody says, "Oh, during my undergrad, I did take part because of my interest in diversity and inclusion. I did take part in a summer camp where I did blah 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 blah." You have to be more concise, but make sure you include some details in that. Okay, and then some institutions also have some specific qualities they are looking out for. So you should be checking the institution to see whether you have those qualities and how to bring those qualities out in your statement of purpose. All right. And then academics. What are some of the unique things that you did in your academics? Now, assuming you finish your undergrad and you went to work for like 5 years and now you want to go back to school, you should be able to explain how the skill set you built up in your work and in your professional field actually will help you to pursue grad school. All right, that you've built up enough skill set in this area that actually going to help you to do your grad school very well because of the work that you did. You should be talking about those kind of things over here. And then you discuss your research interest. All right, so these are things that you should be checking them out. You should be thinking about how to bring them out in the CV, because if you don't do that, in the research statement of purpose, because if you don't do that, then you're going to have something that is, regular thing. Everybody has done the same thing. All right. So always for your statement of purpose, what is your goal for going to grad school? Why do you want to go to grad school? All right. Highlight some of your research and then internships, and then also identify some of the faculties or the labs where you might be interested in working with them. Now, this is where the department is compiling the best and giving them the funding. All right. So in that case, they will be more aware of those you are thinking of working with. All right. And then explain if you have something bad on the CV, like, your transcript, like maybe you got an F, but you were able to bounce back and you did something awesome. You should explain. Make sure you use this opportunity to do that. But again, you have to start early on these things, okay? Write multiple drafts, you read other people's statements, ask for help, edit and proofread. It's a back and forth process. All right. You can use that to write some of your statements, and you can go to this website. This is where I got this information from. So you can get more info from there. Okay, so it's more of like my main goal here is to tell you that, look, one, get a good CV, not a general CV, CV that reflects your field. Okay, if your CV doesn't reflect your field, it means don't be asking for funding, because it's not going to work. I'm not going to pick somebody who has expertise in telecommunication engineering for my research, because I'm doing material science and engineering. What is telecommunication doing in there? We are not a good match. You understand? The fact that you are interested in going to do something in big data analytics doesn't mean that you can bring any CV, because the prof might not accept you, because, hey, I want somebody that I don't have to train from scratch. They already have built the experiences, and so I'm just going to build up on that, and then we all move along. All right? And two, send the CVs in terms of send to as many profs as possible. Send to as many profs as possible. Don't be waiting for anybody to, advertise any position before you send. No, go and find the profs yourself. Go find their emails, check their research, tailor your CV to suit their research, and send to them. Send to as many profs as possible. If you are not sending to them, then there's a problem. Okay, every prof has their own specific field of research. So you should be checking their research, tailoring your CV to suit their research, sending them the emails with your CV and your transcript, all right? And the more you send, the higher the chances of getting a prof who will say a yes or a no, all right? Now, one thing that I've never talked about is LinkedIn profiles. If you are already looking for grad school and you don't have a good LinkedIn profile where you have something that is similar to your CV on that LinkedIn profile, then there's something wrong somewhere too, because you are just doing something else, okay? So have a good LinkedIn profile. I'll talk about it sometime, but please have a good LinkedIn profile. Bring all your research stuff there. Bring all your expertise and your CVs on the LinkedIn profile. Connect with profs that you are thinking of working with, all right? And then be able to sometimes even contact them on LinkedIn, all right? But I'll advise you contact them on the emails and then sometimes in the LinkedIn, if it's not working. And if a prof is not responding, don't be badging them with multiple emails. It's not going to work. Okay, so this is just a few of the stuff that I wanted to share with us. Please spend some time in doing this. It's a lot of work, trust me, this. And even sending the emails to the profs alone is a lot of work, because the more you send, the higher your chances of getting a yes or a no. And don't be sending the same emails to the same different profs, because look, every prof has a unique research. And so if your research is not unique in terms of your CV is not unique to that unique research, then you are not a good match, right? That's all. That's something that I wanted to share with us. All right, thank you. Thank you so much. And hopefully, I wish you good luck. You will find somebody who will fund you with a full fund, all right? And you'll be fine in your grad school, all right? Thanks. Take care.